On the 29th of April 2024, my dad saw an advertisement for Polo Grady's Great Elephant Adventure. After watching it together, I was inspired to visit ethical elephant sanctuaries in Chiang Mai. So I made the decision to travel overseas on my own for the very first time, and that turned out to be one of the best decisions I've made in my entire life. The volunteer program I decided on was Journey to Freedom, which is a part of the Asian Elephant Project. They are dedicated to giving elephants a good life, educating people on ethical elephant sanctuaries, and doing their best to improve the conditions of elephant welfare. The program I chose was a one-week volunteer program at Elephant Nature Park. However, in mid to late October, the park was devastated by severe flooding, so I was allocated to a half-week volunteer program in Mae 1, about 2.5 hours north of Chiang Mai. Around 8:30 a.m. on Monday, my guide picked me up from my hotel, picked up the other volunteer, and took us to their office in a city to read and fill out some paperwork about our stay. Before I get further into the video, I just want to put out a quick disclaimer that I practically never leave my pets. Before this, the longest time I had been away from them was only 3 days. I would not have left if I did not know they were receiving the best care from someone who I literally trust with my life. So shout out to my dad for being the best pet sitter ever and for giving me photo and video updates whenever I asked for them. After a quick stop at 7-Eleven for some snacks, we left the city of Chiang Mai and headed for the mountains. The scenery was absolutely amazing. We passed so many different types of trees, flowers and vegetables, and we could not wait to see how biodiverse the sanctuary would be. We were welcomed to the sanctuary by 2 adorable dogs, who kept us company while we had a delicious lunch, unpacked, and had some free time to explore before going to see the elephants. Because these elephants are mostly free range, we had to drive a bit over 5 minutes, then walk between 15 to 30 minutes to go find them. Our guide was able to help us locate them by keeping in touch with the mahouts, who are the elephants' carers. When we started seeing some fresh poos, we knew we were getting close. It was not the easiest walk in the world, but it was so worth it, because this here was the first time I ever saw an Asian elephant in her natural habitat. Because we don't want to encourage them approaching potentially dangerous strangers, we had to keep a good distance between us and them, and to walk away whenever they approached us. This was much easier said than done because they are naturally very curious and friendly, especially this 7-year-old one named Gili, who was the youngest of the group and the only baby to have ever been born in this sanctuary. I was pleasantly surprised at how friendly they were towards humans, considering how humans had treated them in the past. This one is Bujan, who used to work in a logging industry before it became illegal and was then forced to give tourists rides on her back. This one is Bonsi, who worked in several tourist camps to the point that she could barely walk because of exhaustion. The Asian Elephant Project claim that elephants are the national animals of Thailand and are considered sacred in Buddhist iconography. Organizations like this one have made so much progress with improving animal welfare, and I hope that one day all elephants can enjoy freedom like this. Finally, we ended the day with a lovely dinner by the campfire. I also did some journaling and reading because of how quiet and peaceful the atmosphere was. My only complaint was that I had to share a toilet and shower with these guys, but in their defense they were here first. I did not have the guts or the heart to move them, and hey, they did make some pretty good models for my photography.
The next morning.
On day 2 of volunteering, we woke up extra early because the elephants had walked further away, so we would have to spend more time trying to find them. This walk was much more challenging than yesterday's, but I did not come all the way from Melbourne to back out like this. I liked the fact that we got to observe the elephants in a slightly different environment today. For example, when there were plenty of trees around, the elephants liked to scratch themselves against it, which was something I did not see them do yesterday. I also liked that there was a little hill for the elephants to walk up, so that they weren't just on a plain flat ground. They had plenty of space to explore and a ton of food to eat, which is good considering that they need to eat 10% of their body weight every day. Once again, I would like to emphasize that the elephants here are free roam and only came next to us by choice. The keepers did not force them over or abuse them. For example, for most of the day, this elephant stayed quite far away from us, but later on she did choose to come over and say hi. Another thing I loved about this area was that there was a little creek the elephants could cross or stay to play in. I especially enjoyed watching little Geely with her mum Nong Pong. I love Thai food by itself enough, but being able to observe elephants in a natural habitat while eating Thai food was a phenomenal new feeling. Soon afterwards, the elephants began heading to another area, so we started going back to our base before it got dark so we could help the locals make coffee. Prior to this, I have only ever had coffee from cafes or supermarkets, so I had never seen a setup like this before. Our guide informed us that these were the coffee beans harvested by the locals, and we were also joined by this little guy. The first thing we did was stir the coffee beans really quickly and firmly. This took quite a lot of time and effort, but I knew it would be worth it. When we were done roasting and stirring, we had to wait for it to cool down before proceeding to the next step, which was to blend it. Although we did not have a traditional coffee machine here, we had a little coffee maker made of bamboo, which I'm about to show you now. As always, dinner was delicious and it felt absolutely amazing to relax in this beautiful atmosphere once all the work was done.
Day 3.
On the start of day 3, I was getting a bit emotional because I'll be heading back to the city tomorrow morning, so this would be our last day with the elephants. We started off the day by driving to a local village where we saw a really cool old school petrol station. I knew that we would be visiting a local primary school, so when I was in Melbourne, I bought them a pack of coloured pencils and a book about Australian animals. The kids were not as excited about the books as I expected, but they were very excited about playing together and learning some English.
Can you show me how to do it?
Even though the kids didn't want us to leave and we didn't want to leave, we could not spend too much time together because I had to go back to learning. But they were so sweet and waved at us the entire time we were leaving. Next we drove further up the mountains to what appeared to be just a soccer field, but it was also a bamboo heaven. This was my first time ever using a machete, so I was a little bit clumsy, but hopefully the elephants won't mind and will still enjoy eating it anyway. After pushing all the bamboo uphill, it was time for us humans to have lunch before making lunch for the elephants. Now it was time to make some delicious rice bowls for the elephants. Our ingredients consisted of white rice, tamarind and sugarcane cubes. Once again, I did struggle a little bit because I had never done anything like this before, but our guides were experts and they were always there to help.
This one strong.
Okay.
This one.
Next we had to crush everything so that they would be small enough to put in a rice bowl. Once we were done, we would put it all in a bigger bowl. I can't remember what this traditional practice is called, but we got to try out crushing brown rice grains, and it was more exhausting than it looked on video.
Oh, Isa. Oi.
When that was done, we started making the rice bowls, which smelled so nice, so I really hope the elephants will enjoy them. Right before the elephants arrived, our guide gave us a shirt to say thank you. I cannot begin to describe how much kindness I was treated with here. This is now one of my favourite shirts ever and I have so many good memories of this place. Instead of us going to look for the elephants, it was their turn to walk to us. I really liked seeing how excited they got when waiting for the rice bowls and the bamboo leaves. This was also our first time meeting Sook, the only male elephant who was the biggest of the bunch. Sadly, he did have his tusks removed, but he is still living his best life here as an alpha male because there are no competing males here, and he has 2 wives. Around 8 AM we got together for one last breakfast here, where we were also given a feedback form. Of course I gave them the best feedback possible, and they also showed us a little book where former volunteers could leave a little message and signature. It was fascinating seeing how many people around the world had travelled all the way here. We also went into a traditional Thai bamboo hut for a mini farewell ceremony with tea and rice bowls, where our very kind host gave us a sai sin. This is a white thread or string worn for protection and good health in Buddhism. But in the context of the Karen and other indigenous groups, the sai sin is also a way of acknowledging respect for nature and the environment. By tying it to our hands at the farewell ceremony, it was a way to apologize to the forest or spirits for any unintentional harm caused, and to maintain harmony and balance. Although he said we could just keep it on for 3 days, I ended up keeping it on for almost 2 months. The only reason I removed it was because I felt it getting a bit loose and I was worried about accidentally losing it. So now I keep it with my little elephant souvenir. So I am now home safe with my little babies, who I missed very, very much. I would like to give a huge shout out to Sumo and Flo. Sumo was my guide and Flo was my fellow volunteer and new friend who flew all the way from France to Chiang Mai. Overall, I am so grateful for the experience. I've learned so much about Asian elephants. It is an absolutely lovely, I can't even put it into words, but being able to go around the world and see different animals and their environments is just so special. And every time I feel like I can't love animals, even more, my love for animals does grow more. So that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for being so patient with the slow uploads. Feel free to comment about your travel experiences, and if you have any questions, I will answer them. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day.